Welcome back. So the final chapter that I'm going to read to you is the second to last chapter of the book. So I've shared one from the beginning, the middle and the end, hopefully giving you a taster of the whole book so that it might entice you to read it yourself. So this chapter is called The Magic of Giving. Now this chapter really made me think, what do I prefer doing? Do I prefer getting presents or do I prefer giving presents? And I think I prefer giving presents. Now hopefully that will all become clear in this chapter. It takes some people a long time to work out exactly what they are here for. In Nicholas's case, it took him another 40 years. He was now 62 years old. He had not only kept his beard, as the Truth Pixie suggested, but he had been leader of the Elf Council for a very long time. In that time, he had preserved and expanded happiness in Elfhelm. That's the place where the elves live. So, are you ready? This is how busy Father Christmas has been. He had started a weekly spickle dance in the village hall, given free toys to every newborn elf, converted the tower into a toy workshop, established a university of advanced toy making, expanded the school of sleighcraft, set up the Pixie Elf Alliance, signed a peace treaty with the trolls, invented the mince pie, invented the sherry, invented gingerbread men, and had raised the elf minimum wage to 500 chocolate coins a week. Yum yum. But he still felt he needed to do more. He knew he needed to do more because he was still getting older. Most elves, with the exception of Father Topo and a few others, had stopped aging at around 40, and it was getting a little bit silly. He was taking so long to find his purpose. He loved helping the elves, but it was time to help the people that part of him still belonged to. The people he had left behind in their world, one that was too often full of loss and pain and sadness. He could sense them. He would lie awake in bed at night and hear their voices in his head. He could feel the whole world in there, the good and the bad, the naughty and the nice. One Sunday night in spring, when there was no moon, he took Blitzen from the field and flew above the mountain. There was no better feeling than flying through the sky on the back of a reindeer. Even after a lifetime of doing so, Nicholas, who was now so comfortable with the name Father Christmas, loved the magical feeling of zooming through the sky. They kept flying, right across Finland, across the forest where he last saw his father, searching for him, the way he always searched for him, whenever he flew. It was foolish. His father had died long ago, but it was just an old habit. They flew on into southern Denmark, over towns and cities, over the small fishing port of Helsinki, where trawlers and other boats waited for the fishermen, who would take them out onto the rough seas again. Father Christmas desperately wanted to speak to one of his own kind, but he had long vowed to the elves that he would keep their secret. He knew they were right. Humans probably still couldn't be trusted to know about elves and their magic, but that was only because human lives could be so hard. On and on they flew over the kingdom of Hanover, the Netherlands and France. The lands below were all dark, but with brief bursts of light from the fires and the gas street lamps that glimmered in the cities below. As Father Christmas finally asked Blitzen to head home, he thought all of human life, and certainly the life he remembered was like his landscape, dark with occasional bursts of light. As he flew back north under the moonless sky, he realised that although he might not have been able to live with the humans again, the question still bothered him. How could he make their lives better, happier? So the following day, he asked that very same question in a meeting of the Elf Council. "We need to find a way to spread as much happiness as possible," he announced. Father Vodal arrived a bit late, clutching a stack of presents. "Oh, happy birthday, Father Vodal," said Father Christmas. They all sang happy birthday, and when Father Vodal was seated, he turned and smiled at his good friend Father Christmas, and wished he could turn back time, change that day he had ever put him in prison. "But everyone is happy," said Mother Noosh, who was now a successful journalist as the Daily Snow's chief reindeer correspondent. "Everyone here is happy," corrected Father Christmas, "but I want to spread that happiness beyond the mountain." There was a collective gasp from everyone who was there. "Beyond the mountain?" asked Father Topo. "But it's too dangerous. Everything is perfect here. If we let all the humans know we are here, it would be chaos. No offence, Father Christmas." Father Christmas nodded thoughtfully, scratched his beard, which was now as white as Father Topo's whiskers. Father Topo always had a point, and this was no exception. I agree, Father Topo, I agree. But what if we did something that gave just a little bit of magic? Something that could brighten their lives? But what? Asked Father Vodor, who was opening a birthday present. Oh, a cuddly toy reindeer, he squealed of joy. He looks just like Blitzen. Thank you, Father Christmas. It's my pleasure, said Father Christmas. And Father Christmas watched that joy on Father Vodor's face and thought, as he often did, about the magic of giving. He thought of the day he had been given the sledge and the time a few years later when he had been given the turnip doll. Even the sleigh is significantly better than a turnip. The feeling of receiving both had been the same. The truth pixie had been right. Giving was what he was really good at. And then that night, at around midnight, it came to him. It was the biggest and craziest idea he had ever had in his life. The idea would involve a lot of things. First of all, a lot of hard work. But elves loved work, if it was fun, so he would make sure it was fun. It had to be fun, because if they weren't having fun, it would go wrong, badly. He would convert the tower from merely being a toy workshop to being the greatest toy workshop imaginable. The plan would also involve reindeer. Yes, all of the reindeer would be needed. He would need Blitzen to lead the way, because no one was as good in the air as Blitzen. He was not only strong and quick, but he also had determination. He would never leave a journey half finished, just as Nicholas would never leave a mountain half climbed. As well as Blitzen, he would need Donna at the front to help with navigation, or maybe that new reindeer Mother Noosh found wandering in the wooded hills, the one with the strange red nose. Wonder who that was. And they'd need a good sleigh. They'd need the best sleigh there was, actually. He'd need to recruit the best sleigh makers. He'd need it to be strong and streamlined and silent through the air. But there was still a problem. He paced his bedroom, munching on chocolate, of course. He looked out of his window, past Blitzen and the other 8 reindeer asleep in the dark, over to the village hall. He looked at the new clock face. 15 minutes had gone by since he'd first had the idea. Time had moved so quickly. He knew he would need to do something about that. About time. How could he travel to every child in the world in a single night? It was impossible. But Father Topo's words from long ago came back to him. An impossibility is just a possibility that you don't understand. He looked to the sky and saw a comet's fiery trail as it made its path between the stars before fading away into the night like a dream. A shooting star, he said to himself, remembering the one he had seen with Meekah all those years ago. I do believe in magic, Meekah, he said. Imagining the long-gone mouse was still there with him, just as he believed in cheese. And where there was magic, there was always a way. And this time he knew he would find it. He stayed up all night thinking about it, and then he stopped thinking about it and started believing in it. He believed it so completely that it was already real. There was no use trying to think of a way because it was impossible. The only way you could make something possible real was through logic and sensible thinking. No, it was to believe it could be done. Belief was the method. You could stop time, expand chimneys, even travel the world in a single night with the right magic and belief inside you. And it was going to happen at Christmas time. The moment he knew it, he felt a warm glow. It started in his tummy and spread through his whole body. It was the feeling that comes when you find out who you really are and who you know you will be. And in finding himself, he stopped growing old right there and then. The way you stop when you reach a destination after a long journey or after reaching the last page in a book when the story is complete. And so he knew that he, the man called Christmas, who really still felt as young as ever, a 62-year-old boy called Christmas, wouldn't age another day. He picked up his father's old red hat. He placed it to his face and was sure he could smell the scent of the trees from the old forest, where his father had spent every day chopping down the trees. He put the hat on his head. Then he heard the distant sound of voices coming from the village hall. Of course! It was Monday, dance night. He opened his window wide and saw hundreds of happy elves walking back to their homes. He felt such a joyous spirit inside himself. He leant out of the window and shouted as loud as he could, "Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night." And everyone looked up at him and without question said, "Merry Christmas." And everyone, including Father Christmas, laughed. Ho, 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 ho. And so it was that he closed the window, finished a chocolate and went to bed. He closed his eyes and smiled with such joy, thinking of all the magic and wonder he would share next Christmas. And there is another illustration. It's a newspaper article that I'll read to you. It says, "Father Christmas's big gamble." After months of intense preparation, Father Christmas reported today at the toy workshop that plans are going well. "Everything is on track," he told the Daily Snow's political correspondent, Mother Jingle. "We had a little crisis earlier in the month with missing jigsaw pieces, but that has been resolved." That's where I'm going to finish. There is one more chapter, but I'll leave that for you to read. I hope that you have enjoyed as much of this story that I have read to you. There is so much more magic inside these pages that hopefully you will get to read one day too. Okay, I'll see you all soon. Have a lovely Christmas and a very happy New Year.